Welcome to Community and Code, the podcast about the human beings behind the commits. I'm here today with Christos Paloukas, who is in the WordPress community. He works at Presidium. Tell me, actually, why don't you? I'll let you introduce yourself. What do you do, and who are you, and where in the world are you?
I'm in Greece. I'm Christos, and I do work at Presidium. It's so much easier when the host does the introductions, but I love as a host myself for podcasts I do, passing it off to the guest. So I've been in the IT space since, I don't know, since school, I guess, but like formally since 2010 or 2012. 2010 was an iconic year for me when I moved to Greece from Chicago, Illinois. Born and raised in Chicago, Burbank, Illinois, to be specific, a suburb just outside of Chicago. Born in Evergreen Park. This is the part where I talk about long walks on the beach and how I like them, right? Um,
Yeah.
I'm a cat
Are there many?
person.
There's not very many beaches in Chicago, though, right?
Well, there are.
Are there?
Yeah, well, very many. Does it count as one? Like like Lake Shore. There's a lake. There's not an ocean. It kind of smells funny. I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of
We
the
have a
lake.
smelly lake here too.
Yeah, lakes are
Yeah.
weird, especially Chicago. Could you imagine how many corpses are in there from like the mafia days? It's like rolled up rugs getting tossed.
I
Actually,
mean,
go ahead.
I was gonna say we're I'm in Salt Lake City, so we have obviously the
Yeah,
Great Salt Lake, and that smells weird for completely different
yeah.
reasons. Not so much
Sultry.
the mafia though.
Yeah, good point. Actually, when I was in school, a fun random tangent. There was kind of a thing to. Okay, so people get shot in Chicago all the time. You kind of get desensitized to it for all the worst reasons. But it was a thing to, I don't know, have a shooting of sorts, burn the car, and have the car disposed of in the lake.
Okay.
Like, I mean, there's so many layers of messed up on that with
Mm,
that.
yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
Greece is much more peaceful. Greece has nice weather. Greece is nice. Got the islands.
What took you to Greece?
Oh, I just ended up coming to Greece so I can get some Cisco certifications to like I don't know, expand my knowledge in IT. And whether I did it in the States or whether I did it in Greece, it would have been the same kind of story. Everything would be in English, so it would have kind of worked for me. I do speak Greek. My Greek writing, it's not there. The military helped. There's conscription in Greece, so if you want citizenship, you have to go to the military as if you were born a male.
Hmm.
For 9 months it was for me, 12 months now. For some reason it's even longer, and we keep spending money on, I don't know, like F-16s and our military as if we're ever going to actually go to war.
Mm-hmm.
But what was I talking about? The Greek and the English and the speaking.
Yes, and going to Greece to do
Oh,
a Cisco certification.
yeah, I ended up doing all that. I ended up finding myself in a relationship that I was kind of committed to at the time, and then I found work, and work turned into the military. And I don't know, time passed, and I'm still here. And it's been over a decade. It's been 15 years.
That's impressive.
25 now. Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
15 years.
Um, how's that Cisco certification working for you?
I was just talking about this today with one of my coworkers.
Oh yeah.
He was talking about getting the CCNA, and I told him that the best thing I ever did in my Cisco career was to stop taking those exams. It was the most like relieving thing. It was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago when I had to take the CCNP security or something like greater to continue having my Cisco certifications, and I never used like them ever in my professional career. Sure, it's great. That's what I told him too. You get good knowledge. You learn about how networks work. We were talking about the OSI model in comparison to the TCP/IP model. I hate that like we still use terms like volumetric and OS and like layer 4 and layer 3 attacks. For Presidium Edge, we were talking about this, how like L3 and L4 attacks are cut off at the edge. But I hate it. I can't stand it because the whole world works off the TCP/IP stack, right? OSI is great for troubleshooting. You have to know it as an IT guy. But I mean, why do we still have to refer to things formally using the OSI stack?
Hmm.
Uh,
There was a point in time when I was doing tech support where and I was doing well So the longer story is I used to do tech support for MSN when MSN was a thing, and when
Crazy.
MSN was actually rivaling AOL to some extent, as the thing that you click on to get internet, like when that was a thing. Now everybody just has internet all the time. Um, so I did that, and then I moved from MSN to basically the phone company that did DSL support. And a bunch of people that I knew had or were taking Cisco certification, and I considered it for a minute. Um, but like at the time, we had so there was a point in time where before I joined the phone company, they had given people Cisco modems, and so or Cisco routers actually, and so it would have been marginally helpful. Like you actually would be working with some of the things that maybe you would be talking about because no one really cares about the networking stuff. And like when you're doing DSL tech support, like you're you're not doing networking. You're doing like the networking hitting the router, and but you're not doing any internal networking, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it would have been like kind of tangentially okay, but we were also phasing that out and rolling out. This is when like sort of at the beginning of when phone companies were like rebranding, like getting some vendor and rebranding the modem and putting their
Mhm.
logo on it, and like so it was, and there's a crappy remote modem that didn't let you do anything at all, and the Cisco let you do
Yeah, yeah.
everything in the world. Yeah. Um, so I never did it. Um, and I never actually thought that anyone who did take it used any of that information. So you just confirmed that suspicion. I mean, it looks good, right? It looks good to have a little like CCNA, whatever,
Does
like
it?
badge.
That's what
Well,
I
I
thought.
mean, maybe not so much anymore. It was more impressive like 10 years ago, 15 years
I
ago.
thought it was too, right? So just to have that cute little CCNA thing with little, but then you learn at the end of the day that like I don't know, there was this scandal. I guess it wasn't a scandal, but more of a realization where large companies like that, like Cisco specifically. I don't want to talk trash about Cisco throughout the whole podcast, but you figure out eventually that they get make more of their most of their money off their huge partnerships that they have,
Mm,
like gold partner, silver partner, whatever of Cisco, and through training. I don't remember the percentage, but it was
yeah,
huge, like 30, 40, 50.
yeah.
50 was probably too much, but they make it off training and training centers and certifications, which makes sense because one of my problems then was I paid for the CCNP security exam, and it was like 350, if I remember correctly, or 300, 350 euro. It's a lump sum to
Hmm.
get certified in something you don't use. Plus, the other thing that bugged me is I don't know. Let's go back to the CCNA thing where I was talking to the coworker. Back then, we would learn, basic routing protocols, and then EIGRP. No one uses EIGRP. No one.
But it's good to theoretically know that things exist, right?
Yeah, not EIGRP, but it's good to know how to use it. How to work. Like they should really focus on. Well, they should have focused on. It's been so long now. Like routing protocols, or maybe even expand to things like BGP that's widely used. But no, you have to be a CCNP level, or maybe even higher than for BGP to actually get into the curriculum.
And for anyone who's listening who is not following the rapid fire
Yeah, that makes sense.
abbreviations, we will definitely move on from this part of the podcast. What do you do exactly at Presidium? Your LinkedIn says you're a performance engineer. What does a performance engineer do?
My LinkedIn is right. So performance engineers, we make shit faster. We identify
Okay, cool.
bottlenecks.
How do you engineer speed?
How do you engineer speed? You start from the ground up, I guess, by using high speed technologies, or using, like, if you want to go really technical, you'd start at the probably operating system level. If not, even if we have like any, I don't know, machine geeks or like actual hardware geeks in the house, they would probably argue it starts at the machine level, which does make sense too. NVMEs do play a role. They're significantly faster than like the older SSDs, the solid state disks and spinning disks. They do die out much faster. But anyway, the role of a performance engineer, I guess, is relative to what they're focusing on. So at Presidium, we do managed WordPress hosting. So I focus on WordPress. So I focus on web technologies. It could be database. It could be the server itself, the web server, whether it's Nginx or Apache, optimizing the actual web server for the specific site in question. Because WordPress is it's a beast with many faces. You can do pretty much everything on
Hmm.
WordPress, and people do pretty much everything on WordPress. Meaning that every time I get a performance audit, which is one of my responsibilities, it's usually like everything from the beginning.
Hmm.
Writing something like a SOP for audits would be very vague because then you have to find something and then rabbit hole. Sure, they're all like low hanging fruit. I don't know, slow queries, for example, that you kind of knock out really quick. But as a whole, without changing or potentially ruining the website, performance work is kind of hard. If you asked me like what are the most common things you or no, the most common I can answer. But if you ask me what are the best practices, I would
Hmm.
tell you there's no such thing. I mean, it really depends on your website. Sure, there are, again, like, I don't know, be careful with your images, be careful with how things load, be aware of what like the critical or the critical rendering path is. Be careful with your CSS. But if you don't actually get your hands dirty, you're not gonna you're not gonna be able to identify anything.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I think that's a really interesting sort of take on performance. I think that's really grounded in sort of reality. I think we both work at hosts, and obviously
Mhm.
hosts want to say that ours is the fastest, but how you define fast depends largely on what you're sort of like emphasizing. One of the things that Pantheon emphasizes is that everything should be in the caching layer in the CDN, and we give everybody a CDN from the get go, and that's a thing that we've done for a really long time. And so to really benefit from the speed that Pantheon can give you, like, yes, obviously we have like containerization and we use Google Cloud and whatever, and those
Mhm.
things are like help things be fast, but like ideally you're never hitting the application server at all to make those database queries or whatever. You're just hitting a cached page in a CDN somewhere that stays there for an extended period of time, and then you don't need to worry how fast the machine is, because the machine can be slow and it's only hopefully going to be serving a request to a single visitor who just gets the short straw.
Yeah. Well, offloading things to see what's funny is that like in performance, lots of the solutions end up being the problem in some way, shape, or form. You mentioned caching, CDN, which basically is caching for I don't know static acids.
Hmm.
That can help you alleviate like what's going on the actual server itself. But then other sorts of caching, maybe like full page caching on the edge, something like Presidium Edge does. It's relatively new. It's pretty cool with the static and dynamic caching on the edge
Hmm.
only tells me that okay, yeah, you can really benefit your site if you don't have like logged in user traffic or
Right.
it's not an LMS kind of deal
Yep.
or it's a WooCommerce shop that's
Yep.
not necessarily built
Yep. Those are all the
for
things that fall down. Yep.
yeah, exactly. I mean, with WooCommerce, or you can always do like that. I always forget what it's called. The adaptive caching, not adaptive. What's the word for when you cache only certain parts of the page,
The
very
cache
specifically?
fragment? No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fragment caching,
Yeah.
exactly. You can do that, but you have to be like in sync completely with the developer. You have to know that like a certain banner or a certain part of the page is going to be served from the cache, and you have to identify those parts of the page.
Yeah.
And you can't change those either. But like caching is one of the best and worst things ever because it's like the easiest way to hide all your performance issues. On the other side of things, it's maybe the easiest way to make your site significantly faster,
Yep.
closer to the user.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
why we always do our troubleshooting without caching. Like if you want
Yeah. Fix the root cause, and then you don't need to worry so much. You don't need to rely so much on your caching. Yep.
exactly
Yeah.
what's a good term? I've used this in a WordPress meetup in Athens. Caching is a smart way to do less steps for certain things. But I don't know. I make pizzas and I've been doing it like religiously lately because it's becoming an obsession. If I do less steps in my pizza making process, my dough isn't going to come out right.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It doesn't apply to every situation, the
Mm-hmm.
caching.
Yep. What took you into the WordPress world?
Honest to God, it was just an ad. There's no fun or cool story here. I'm not an old WordPress contributor. Okay. I was taught to use WordPress as a go-to in high school, but that's just because I think it wasn't part of the like formal curriculum back then. I graduated high school in 2009, but I think it was because our electronics slash computer science teacher used WordPress at some
Hmm.
point in his life. So Mr. Nichols, Richard Nichols, great guy, awesome guy, loved him.
Shout out to Mr.
Uh,
Nichols.
Hi, Mr. Nichols. Uh, I think I can call him Richard now, can I? Hi,
Probably.
Richard.
It's always weird with teachers. Yeah.
You get over it. But yeah, I think it was because it was his go-to at the time.
And you were telling me earlier that you're now involved in the WordCamp Athens organization. Tell me about how that happened.
Yeah, I'm a co-organizer. I was asked if I wanted to be part of it. I gave one of those like really sure yes, I definitely want to be part of it.
Hmm.
And now towards the end, there's like a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So for
no,
someone who doesn't know what's involved in organizing a camp, or even like like a local meetup, but we'll talk about camps. Um, I've done this, so I already sort of know this story. But what does that look like for you, especially maybe if this is like your first word camp that you've been involved in?
it's the first WordCamp. I was a volunteer for WordCamp Europe. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
twice, once in Athens and once in Torino.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that was good because it was all very structured, and I just had to pick a role and do my
You just have to
role.
show up. Yep.
Yeah, pretty much, and you wear your different colored shirt or whatever.
Yep. Yep.
Now we did do that. We did something similar like that. We did spread out roles, but you have to fill in blanks all over the place. Like you just have to keep helping each other. And sure,
Mm-hmm.
there's always going to be an imbalance. Like we've got 12 different organizers. All 12 are either running their own business or working somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
They're all busy half the time. The other half the time, they're, I don't know, living their lives. Let's not forget that. And then they
Mm-hmm.
have WordCamp organizing going on too.
Yep.
And I'll be straight with everyone. In the beginning, I was one of the most inactive out of the 12. And now, these past 2 weeks, I'm the guy responding to emails, which responding to emails, like for the sponsors team, doesn't really mean like, you write a 5-minute email. You have to look all over the place to gather the information that you need for that particular person so you can be, again, aware of their situation before you can formulate a reply. And if something is like taking long with this confirmation process that is going on with WordCamp Central now,
Mm-hmm.
it's our fault that it's
Mm.
taking too long.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. We're the direct point of contact. It's like
Yep.
you go to a restaurant and you have a problem. I worked in service for a long time, and I use service based analogies very often. But you go to a restaurant and you're not happy with something, or you find like a huge hair, or multiple pieces of hair, or even something that's moving that shouldn't be moving on your plate.
Mm-hmm.
You're the waiter's gonna take the shit,
Right. Right.
and then it kind of goes up
Yep.
the. Uh,
Yeah, and then you have a Karen that asks to talk to the manager, and then the manager pulls out the head chef. Yep. Yep.
yeah, yeah, and it just makes everyone's day really bad. There has to be
Yeah.
a lot of patience. There has to be a lot of, from what I'm saying, there has to be a lot of understanding. Things
Yeah.
do magically seem to work, because we have to do it. We're at the point that we have to do it. I think
Yeah.
there's like a certain demarcation point where if you really can't handle, which I think I was there at that demarcation point, I think I was the weak link until I had to not be the weak link.
Hmm.
And now I'm quite tired. But there's still some pushing to go. There's a lot of last minute things to go.
Yeah.
And we're actually getting a lot of like engagement from people, mostly positive. People
Hmm.
asking for people asking to sponsor, obviously. People asking to volunteer. Volunteering seems to be a lot easier, or to finding volunteers seems to be a
Yeah.
lot easier than it is to find sponsors.
Yes. Yep.
WordCamp Central has been very good about the portion that they've given us for the event. I'm not gonna lie there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
When is WordCamp Athens?
when is
Yeah. When?
November 8th?
November 8th. Oh yeah, my birthday.
Hey, happy
uh,
birthday on
thank
WordCamp
you.
Athens.
Um, yeah. Unfortunately, I won't be going to Athens for my birthday this year. Um,
Keyword this year.
I'd like to go to Athens for my birthday. But yeah, so no, I did. I was organized. I was involved in WordCamp Salt Lake City for a
Mhm.
long time. I started out as a volunteer, and then I was and then I get more involved, and then eventually I was doing like just working with like speakers and stuff and sponsors, and then I was co-organizing, and I co-organized for 2 years, and then I solo organized for 2 years, and then I was pretty done. And that also like that last year that I organized was also probably 2018, so like just
Oh,
before COVID. So like yeah, then COVID happened. Well, we didn't have one in 2019 because nobody in the community was like able or willing to pick up the reins after I basically carried it for,
yeah.
I mean, at that point, close to 4 years. Like, I mean, it was me and one other person were lead organizing, and the 2 years before I
Mhm.
was just fully organizing, or lead organizing, but yeah, nobody else was willing to pick up the reins, and then COVID hit, and that kind of decimated our like local meetup group. Like
Yeah.
we still haven't really picked up. Somebody posted in our Utah WordCamp Slack like last week, and it was like the first time. Like it had gotten to the point where Slack cuts off after 90 days or whatever. So like it was like the first message in the general channel after the last cutoff. Like it had been that long that it had been quiet. Um,
Agree.
yeah, it's sad. I would like to have a community, but I also like it's a lot of work, and I don't want to do the work involved in like
Do you guys
lifting the
do
community on my
meetups?
own shoulders.
Has it like kind of fixed? Do you guys do meetups? Because I know the Athens. Oh, this was before I was like really involved in WordPress. Aside from making a website using WordPress, the Athens community had the same issue. Like after COVID, we're probably still not back up to speed since the before Christos days.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we haven't. I mean, if there are meetups, they're not happening through our Slack. There used to be like a Salt Lake Valley meetup, and there used to be like a couple people that would meet up in like Park City. And I mean, a lot of those people, to be fair, moved out of Utah. So like that also, it's not just the COVID that killed everything. It was also like I think there's almost like a COVID exodus that happened too. Like people, like when everybody was remote working, then everybody decided that they could like move other places and live other places. Um,
Oh
and so that I think affected things too. But yeah, most of the people that were like leading the charge for like making sure that the meetups are happening and the word camps and stuff are happening, kind of got burned out.
no, that makes sense. But
Yeah.
what surprises me, like I pulled up. That's why I'm looking around. I'm on the laptop. I pulled up the results of last year's WordCamp Larissa. I'm sure you've never heard of Larissa, right?
Nope.
Yeah, it's I think the third. Oh man, the Larissa people are going to get upset with me. It's either the third or I think it's the third or fourth largest city in Greece. It's up near Mount Olympus,
Okay.
and they had 242 attendees, and it's got like some other fun stuff from 12 different cities in Greece, 50% newcomers, 13 speakers, 14 volunteers, 242 for a very local, I'd say,
Yeah.
WordCamp, not even
Yeah.
in the first or second largest city. And everything went really well. We were all very surprised. Well, I don't know if they were because I wasn't expecting it, but I was very surprised to see that smaller part of Greece that geographically kind of works for everyone because it's kind of in the middle
hmm
if you don't
Yeah,
count
that helps. Yeah.
Peloponnese. Yeah,
Yeah.
it went very well, which was very inspirational, especially for WordCamp Athens this year.
hmm Yeah. Location matters a lot.
Hmm.
It's like it's interesting, the WordPress events versus and how they have or have not come back after COVID versus Drupal events. I'm learning, because I think that for the most part, like Drupal events are still smaller than WordPress
Hmm.
events, or than they used to be before COVID, but they are happening, and like the local like sort of regional or city based sort of meetup groups are like making Drupal camps. I just came back from Bay Area Drupal camp, Bad Camp, last month. And it was a pretty nice. I mean, it was a cool turnout. It felt like a small word camp, and that was cool. Um,
Hmm.
and there's been a couple others that I've seen. For the most part, there are very few of those things happening in the WordPress space in the States, outside of, the flagships, which I find interesting and disheartening. Um, and
Yeah.
there's possibly drama involved in that. I know at least in a couple cases, some folks have chosen to make their own event as opposed to doing a WordPress community support WordCamp event.
Mhm.
Like instead of like the organizers of WordCamp Minneapolis St. Paul decided to make some conf instead, which I'll be speaking at in a couple months. Um, which I mean, I think that's great, but also like there's stuff there. There's I think Brad Williams announced a while ago Wardadelphia to do like a small WordPress event in Philly.
Word of
Um, Wardadelphia, yeah, because Philadelphia, Wardadelphia. I don't know. It's a weird name. Um,
interesting.
and I think there's another one that was done by the WordCamp Buffalo uh, organizers. That's I think it's Color Code or something to that effect,
Oh,
which is actually going to be like in different places, but it started in Buffalo. And so like there's these other things, and obviously PressConf, but that's not
yeah.
really like I mean that was descended from Pressnomics, so it's sort of but like it's nice to see that there are other things happening outside of just the WordCamp ecosystem.
Yeah. Plus, I like things like press conf specifically that you mentioned. Or, okay, so there's the WordPress community and there's WordPress community events where we're supposed to be, from my understanding, and maybe the point of view of a relative newcomer is like, significant. From my understanding, it's supposed to be a little bit more community based than it is business based, kind of
Yeah.
like the WordPress org Slack, right?
Yep.
It's
Yep.
definitely community based, not. But then you have people turning these kind of events that are geared towards community into more commercial events.
Yeah.
Whereas PressConf, they're there to make money. You're there to make connections. You're there to make money, and it's
Yep.
clear, right? So kind of like
Yep.
Post Status and the WordPress org
Yep. 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 Yep.
Slack.
Yeah.
I really like when it's clear, when it's clear cut. Like you're there to make connections, to make money, to progress your business. Whereas with WordCamps, I'm kind of confused. I think it's a bit of a mix, and I don't know where the balance should be, would be, or people even want the balance to be.
That's a really fair point. I know as when I was wrangling speakers for WordCamp Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake City meetups often had a very strong small business sort of focus, and part
Hmm.
of that, or a large part of that, is Salt Lake City in particular, Utah broadly, and even more broad than that, I would say, like the dominant culture in the state is very big on sort of small business and kind of do it yourself kind of things. So obviously that filters down into a lot of people that go to the meetups. A lot of people that are interested in the camps are small business oriented or small business owners, they or whatever. And so
Yeah,
obviously as an organizer trying to come up with a schedule, you want to cater to that, but also balance with like. Also, we should have some dev tracks too. Also, we should have some other things that aren't businessy that are like, and how to like balance that so that you have like, I mean, it's almost like an art to really get the right schedule. It's like making the perfect playlist. I'm really big on on making play. Like I used to be a DJ. I if
hmm,
you've ever seen the movie High Fidelity, he like there's this like
I haven't.
all through the movie, John Cusack's character like talks about like how he like making the perfect playlist is like a common sort of thread, and like he would sit down and like just like spend hours listening to records and like organizing things in the right way to get the perfect flow. It has to start this way. It has to like then you have to come down a little bit, then you go up a little bit. Like just like making it into an experience, which I
Yeah,
think obviously that is a maybe a relic of records and cassettes and CDs and not streaming services. But like the same thing is true for like crafting a schedule for an event like that, like where you have to like understand who your audience is, and figure out like, and also like timing makes a difference. End of the day talks, everybody's tired, everybody's sleepy, especially
Yeah.
at like post lunch. Like you need to like have something that's going to bring a lot of energy, otherwise everybody's going to fall asleep. Like, there's all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah, there's definitely like risk too. So like we got a bunch of newcomers for speakers, and we wanted newcomers for speakers
Yeah.
under the idea. But then you have the thought in the back of your head, if that X well-known person isn't giving a talk, are people going to, I don't know, actually sit in the auditorium?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you
But
have to like, you can maybe like, if you like sandwich them with other talks that people do know or something, like you can like kind of find ways to cheat. But yeah, or like yeah, it's a really interesting, like that was actually one of the things that I thought was really fun about like this, the speaker stuff is always something I really enjoyed working with, like both from like, because this is also like how you're presenting in some ways your local community, right? And like, it's not just, we're not just here independent of time and place and just talking about WordPress. We're also putting on a show for buy-in for the people of our city and our community.
yeah,
And so you want that to be look good. You want your community to be cool, and people to like walk away and be like, you want people to come from out of state even, or out of the
plus it
city.
gets like difficult. I don't know. Like one of the, I don't even know if I should be talking about this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Sorry, WordPress, if you don't like it. One of the issues that we faced was not having enough submissions from females.
Yeah.
So at the end of
Yep.
the day, the speakers list is going to be, there's not going to be the diversity that we'd want,
Yeah.
because, but it's not necessarily our fault. So we want to, what we talked about was that we want to like take some time during the event to encourage more female people to, submit submissions for talks.
I found I had that same problem, and the solution to that problem is asking.
Oh, like
Is
going
like,
straight to people and being like,
yes,
"Do you want to
going
speak?"
going to people and just inviting them. Say, hey, I'm the organizer for WordCamp. Blah 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 blah. Do you want to come and speak? And oftentimes the answer is yes, and
Oh,
that's cool. And then you can kind of curate that speaker list, because for a long time, our WordCamp was in 100% reliant on the submissions that we got. And
yeah,
yeah, there's only so much that you can sort of coerce the submissions, and you know
yeah,
because the dominant culture is largely white males, then
yeah,
the speakers that you end up getting are predominantly white males.
yeah.
I
That's fine.
presented actually at Open West. Ooh, back in like, I don't know, 2018, 2019 or something, before COVID again. And I was presenting on being an ally. Um, and the way that their speaker submission worked, and I think it's actually similar to the way WordCamp Europe does it now. Maybe they just other things that they add to that, that I don't know about behind the scenes. But the way that Open West did submissions is, it was sort of like you entered into a system, and then names and stuff are removed from all of the submissions so that it's judged purely on the content of the submission. So you don't know who submitted it. And the idea is that
That's
that's more the idea is that that's more egalitarian, right? Because you're just basing your acceptance or rejection based on the subject matter. The
okay.
problem with that I observed was that 80 to 90% of the speakers that were selected for that conference were male, and most of them were white male. And here I am giving a talk on allyship, and like, I'm like, I told the organizer, like, look, like, I'm giving this talk and I'm going to blast you, because like all of the keynotes were men except for one. Like most of the talks were by men, and I was like, I think that there are better ways of doing this, and I see what
Yeah.
you're doing, but also I have a counterpoint, and I'm going to talk about that. Is that okay? And it was, like, he said yes. Um,
Okay.
and But yeah, I mean, like, I think if you just rely on the submissions and you don't do sort of your own outreach, then you're gonna just get it naturally, because that's kind of how the tech industry just works.
And it's upsetting too. Like all the other teams, volunteer wise, organizing wise,
Yeah,
or we have a great mix.
yeah,
And without great mix, everyone knows this already. But without diversity, you don't have innovation. Without innovation,
yeah,
you don't do anything. I
yeah,
mean, it's been proven over and over and over.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel strongly about like I don't even think it's like it's not about like it's not equal or giving some people like
Hmm.
special access. It's like no, we need to just make the table bigger, and if that means we
Hmm.
need to invite people to the table, like the white guys are gonna come to the table. Like
Yeah,
they're just gonna because they're like that's their perspective, that's their privilege that they've lived with their whole lives to
yeah,
just know that they can go out and do things, and it's harder when there's not an actual invitation. Like no, you can come to the table too, and we like you are welcome at this table. Like we don't want it to
mhm.
just be a bunch of white dudes at a conference,
I know.
at an event, like anything. Yeah.
I know. I know I don't want to fall under any like stereotype stuff, but no, I totally agree. And I mean that's how inclusivity like starts, right?
Yeah.
Inclusivity doesn't mean like the door's open, you can enter, because no one's gonna come in.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
more of we have to go to them. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of my first posts that I when I moved when I went to Blue Sky. I have it as a pinned post. One of the first things that I don't know if you bloot or bleat or I don't know what the right word for posting on Blue Sky is. Um,
Yeah. Bleeding,
bleeding,
bleeding.
yeah, sure, definitely bleeding. Um, um, One of the first things that I posted was about like things that were happening and the discourse in the United States, and I
Hmm.
was just saying like inclusivity is not about people taking your piece of the pie. It's about saying, hey everyone, there's pie here, do you want some?
Yeah, share the
Yeah,
pie.
yeah, exactly.
Share and actually invite people into eating the pie with you. It's not just
Hmm.
about saying, putting a sign up there that says this
And if
pie
you
is
need
for
more
everyone.
pie, you can make more pie. It's not like there's people that are going to take your pie.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Fear is a big topic. I think we could talk about fear for like 10 different podcasts, but fear really sets everyone back on everything at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah,
Fear and comfort, I guess they go hand in hand.
yeah. Well, I did save some time because I definitely want to talk about cats.
Yes, yes. So you go first. Tell me about your cats.
Well, I wanted to, because I still like, so we talked, previously about, like you take your cat camping,
Yeah,
and I think that's awesome. I would like a camping cat.
yeah,
I also think that you're a little bit spoiled because you can just like you can just go to a beach in
yeah,
Greece on an island and
totally.
then and then kind of be remote. But talk about the story of how you first took your cat on a camping trip and how that's worked since. Because I think that people who like I see videos every once in a while of people who have taken their cats camping and
Yeah,
or taking their cats to the beach even. But most people assume that cats and beaches and camping are not a thing that you do. Dogs and camping seem fine, but
yeah.
cats and camping always seems weird.
I don't know. Okay, I'll give you the story. Before that, David DeBella, one of our most recent partners, him and his wife were totally shocked when they went out to the Rockies and they saw more cats than dogs. Sure, they were
Yeah.
leashed, which I don't know how I feel about like a leashed cat, but my cat was
Mhm.
like a crazy cat that I don't
Mhm.
know, some family that couldn't handle him. They ended up finding some vet that was going to euthanize him for being
Mhm.
too aggressive. The cat
Mhm.
wasn't aggressive, and I picked up on it through the animal
Mhm.
welfare volunteering that I do, and I said, "No, I'm taking this cat." So I basically stole the cat. Yeah, I basically stole the cat, and there were some legal implications for the veterinary in question,
Mm.
that's how it should have been. But anyway, it all came down to like necessity at the end of the day. I couldn't find someone to take care of my cat. He had gotten much better, like behavior wise. The first year or two actually were very difficult. But we ended up going to camping, and I figured it'd be okay. I don't know. There's always risk. because he's not a leash cat. You
Hmm.
can't put a leash on him. I tried during like the first days of, or the first weeks maybe of COVID, when they said we can go out if we're taking our pet out.
Hmm.
That didn't go well for the leash or for the cat. But I just got to the island. I let the cat out, and I was dumb. It took a long time to get there, and I felt bad for the cat. So I was like, okay, cool. Now that we took this tiny little boat to get to Kato
Hmm.
Kufonisi, it's down Kufonisi. I thought it'd be a good idea to take him out as soon as I could, rather than finding a spot to make camp and then be like, here, this is home.
Hmm.
Dumbest idea ever. The cat freaked out. He saw the water. There was like a whoosh of the wave, and he just ran up this side of this really steep hill. And I
Hmm.
tried getting him down, but eventually I was gonna either maybe get the cat down and have like hurt myself severely,
Hmm.
and I don't know. I had to abandon it, so I kind of slept close there. I made camp somewhere further back, and I slept close to that area. And I went for it in the morning, and I was basically just climbing the side of this really steep hill with a can of tuna in my hand just to get the cat down. And fortunately, I did get the cat down, and everything went well. Since then, the second time was kind of difficult. We went to Donusa, which is an island that's conquered by cats. There are countless cats there, and my cat's kind of fighter slash killer, so he didn't
Hmm.
have a great time there. Anafi was the island that he kind of loved, and even if he's been 3 times to Anafi. When I take him out on that one particular beach that I camp on, he's like, "All right, cool. I know where I am. I hate you. I don't know why you do this to me. I don't belong here. Why are you taking me here? Fine, screw yourself." But he's like, "Okay, cool. I'm good." And since then, like this year, we went to Ravdos, which is the most southern point in Europe. It's
Mm.
this island, maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours from Crete. Everything was fine. Actually, he's kind of getting older too, and he's got FIV. He's got the feline leukemia, and he's got the it's another autoimmune disease, the gingivostomatitis. Is that how you say it? I don't know. It's
God.
another feline one that really messes with him. So he's a lot calmer because of all that, I guess, too, and the
Hmm.
drugs.
Hmm.
But he would just stick around the tent and basically be a guard dog.
So basically, what I'm hearing is immersion therapy. Like,
Yeah, it organically
kind of just
kind of
did it,
happened.
and then he eventually figured it out.
Yeah, totally organic, totally. I
Yeah.
did see some other cats. Like there was this girl on the boat on our way back to Athens, and she had her cat. She was sleeping, and she had her cat out of the crate on her chest while she was sleeping. And I was thinking, wow, like on the boat, not even on a beach or anything, on the boat.
Hmm.
And I did meet another person. I just remember this too. I did meet another person that had a cat that brought the cat with them. It wasn't a cat that was at the island of Gavdos for camping. So it kind of works sometimes, I guess.
There's something that you mentioned in there that I wanted to pull out a little bit, is like you did some animal sort of rescue kind of stuff, or
Yeah.
animal advocacy kind of thing. Like, tell me about that.
I haven't stopped. I did distance myself at some point. I haven't stopped since I got my first dog, and that's like, fuck, since 2012, I think, when I started working at Codex, some office down in Athens. First dog was a rescue, and my all my cats are rescues. I don't know. Okay, so rescuing and everything. Some weird stuff happens in the world of animals and humans. Some like
Hmm.
really messed up shit though. I mean, even down to like rape. And at some point I had to distance myself, like rape, like
Hmm.
humans raping animals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I had to distance myself at some point because Greek law at that point was not sufficient enough to punish cases like that. And we had a
Oh.
case like that. And unfortunately, the case got into the hands of the boys and girls in the animal welfare group, which because the courts didn't do much at all other than a 3 grand fine. The law has been changed since, not so long ago, maybe 2 years ago. Now at least fines they stack, and
Hmm.
there is potential prison time. Back then it was kind of whatever you did, oh fine, you get a 3 grand fine and you're off the hook. That didn't work for the people of the animal society, the animal rescue society, or call it whatever you want. And it turned into violence, like uh, individual violence, and I had to distance myself at that point. But sooner or later, I would find a cat and I would keep it. That's Duke. That's my biggest one. There was another one, Maisie. She's a total ditz. She's my partner's cat. My partner, she found her outside of my house, which was totally my fault because I removed her from the bakery that was across the street from my house because they had issues with the cat twice in the same
Mm,
day and put it in, near my apartment. Before we can contact people to see if
mhm,
someone can take the
mhm.
cat and take care of it. I ended up not being at home the time my partner she returned home, and she just called me and she's like, "I found this wonderful cat downstairs and I brought it upstairs." And I'm thinking, "Oh man, what color is the cat?" And she says, "White and orange." And I was like, "I know the cat." And she would ask too, like, "Could we keep it? Could we keep it?" And I said, "Well, it's already in the house. I mean, we can't really."
Once it's in the house, you can't kick it out. Yeah.
I know, it's a law of nature. Like the cat distribution system itself never fails. I don't know if she understood the concept when I said it's in the house. I think she thought that maybe we can put it back outside. And I said, it's not a thing now.
Yeah,
Now
that
it's our
doesn't work.
cat. Exactly. And now I've got two other blind ones. One has one eye. She's kind of a pirate. Her name is Lala. And her brother Mimi has no eyes. He's blind.
Mm,
And he's the first blind animal I've ever had, actually. But they do everything. He
mhm,
literally goes around. So one of the bathrooms is relatively old in the house, and it's got like those external pipes for water plumbing
mm.
going around. He goes and climbs on those tiny little pipes that are like nailed to the wall, and I'm thinking, how can you do this? You don't have eyes.
How did you
And
get involved in animal rescue, though?
I got a dog.
You just got a dog.
That's
You just
basically it.
rescued a dog.
Yeah, it just kind of happened. And I mean, if you have like, I'm a total softie for these things. I can't handle it. Like, if I ever killed a human, it would probably be over something like animal abuse. I'm a total softie for that. I can't help myself. They're so perfect. I literally that's how I started. No fun story or anything. No family. We didn't have pets. I was raised with like strictly birds
Mm, mhm.
and nothing better, nothing more.
I didn't have pets until I was early teens, and then my stepmom's sister was breeding Yorkshire Terriers,
Mhm.
and so we got one of her Yorkie pups, and then I had a dog from
Yeah.
zero to some from zero pets basically to dog, and yeah, that was good. He was cool. His name is Pirate. Um, and because that was the name of the game that we played, it was sort of like a white elephant. Like everybody brings a present, and then you can steal the present. But like we called it Pirate, and he was a
Okay.
pirate gift that nobody else wanted to steal from me.
Got
So he was named
stuck with it.
Pirate. Um, and and then nothing until after I graduated, and my partner got a job at the Humane Society
Mhm.
of Utah, and she was in receiving, which is where all of the surrendered animals go. And then there's a whole like in a shelter like that, there's a whole like evaluation process that kind of boils down to, do we think this animal will be adoptable? Because they get more animals surrendered than the
Yeah,
number of animals they're able to adopt out.
I
And
understand.
and there are no kill shelters in Utah. The Humane Society would like to be one, but is not. They just don't have the capacity.
Mm.
Um, so they do need to like make yay or nay calls, and that was always kind of awful. She eventually moved into adoptions, and then she moved into the vet clinic, and those were much
Okay.
better.
Yeah.
But obviously, through this process, we're like taking animals home, learning about like how the difference between like an animal that doesn't do well in the shelter, that doesn't necessarily mean like your experience, like it doesn't necessarily mean that they are aggressive. It just means that
Yeah.
they aren't doing well in the shelter. Like
Yeah.
this is a really stressful environment, and
Yeah.
maybe this animal is a little bit more sensitive to that than some
Same
of the
for
others.
humans. Humans
Right.
would react the same way.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. Um, so yeah, that's always been and so all of our cats have been either um, quasi rescued, like rescued from the shelter,
Yeah. Yeah.
or they came from like an actual animal rescue.
Mhm.
And we currently have three. Um, and our oldest has cancer, but she's had
Yeah.
cancer for like 2 or 3 years.
That's the thing about cats, man. They could have like three different autoimmune diseases. Duke, and he's still a fighter and a camper, literally.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And she's the sweetest thing. She's my daughter's cat.
Hmm.
She's like the most empathetic animal, like she like in the world.
So
And yeah,
cute. Too
yeah.
cute.
But we can talk about cats all day. We probably would
Yeah.
talk about cats all day. We don't, this
Easy.
isn't necessarily a cat podcast. I mean, it
Not
could
yet.
be a cat podcast. It'll be a different podcast. Um, but you have a podcast too, don't you?
I do. I started Uncast with Presidium. We only have one episode with Kareem talking about fair, but like the context is kind of hard to find people. So it has to
Mm,
be, you have to identify a problem in and around the WordPress ecosystem, and you have to be relative to the solution of the
mm,
problem to be on the
mm-hmm.
show. I hope it doesn't get stuck at Kareem, but chill with Kareem. And then there's an interviewee one, kind of like this one, get another person behind the tech. I called it
Mm-hmm.
3Q interview. I probably have to change the title because it was supposed to be 3 questions, and now it's about 30 to 45 minutes long. It just kind of
Mm-hmm.
evolved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's how it works. That's why I don't make rules for myself.
Yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning.
Well, where can people find you on the internet?
I guess I can Google Christos Paloukas, but I mean something much easier would be I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, kind of. I did a couple posts recently, not a huge fan, but Twitter for sure /Paloukas. Uh, I don't know where else. YouTube, I guess. There's like podcasts there. I have an old version of myself that used to write classical music. So if you find
There you go.
I kind of do it sometimes too secretly. If you find some, I don't even talk about this, Matt. I don't even know why I mentioned this now.
That's a whole other podcast. We need to get you back and we can talk about your classical music.
Yeah, I abandoned that kind of. But if you do search Christos Paloukas, you might find some songs.
Well, thank you so much, Christos, for coming on. And check out Christos's podcast or the one
Thank you.
episode. And go find him at WordCamp Athens if you
Yeah,
happen to be in Greece on November 8th. Thanks again for coming, and yeah, we'll see
thanks
you
for
on the
having me.
internet.
It was a
You're welcome.
pleasure. Hope to host you too.
Absolutely.